Hi guys. Okay, I'm finding it really hard not to be vain when I make these videos. I set it up, I look at myself, I think, all right, it's fine, it's good enough. And then I turn the camera on and look, and I'm like, it's really hard. And I didn't really consider myself that vain of a person, that wrapped up in how I look, but it's different. This is different. This is a humbling experience, especially to unveil yourself at 54. Anyway, I've been extremely inspired lately by the other newer YouTubers out there who are doing what I'm doing and just making these talk to you videos. So let me name some people because I don't know if I'll remember to put it in the description. So it all started, I think, for a lot of us that are in this group that I find myself in, with Dodash. Like, what an inspiration she is. I don't really even, I mean, obviously YouTube just suggested her to me, and I started watching her videos and being really inspired. And so I have to remember to look at the camera and not at myself. That will also help my vanity. Anyway, so to Dodash, thanks a lot, because there are a lot of us who have found you as a source of inspiration and a source of hope that maybe this will work out for us. I think a lot of us are hoping that, yeah, we'll get monetized, but beyond that, and maybe even underneath that, is wanting to connect, wanting to share something in a way that's authentic and genuine and speaks to people. So maybe so we all feel less alone, maybe so we all recognize ourselves in each other, maybe so those of you who are 54 or a close age to that of me can recognize some of the things I'm struggling with, like my aging face and I don't know, sort of a ticking clock that if not now, when? I wanted to initially begin, well, let's dial this back. I mean, initially I wanted to create a space here where I could talk about the things that are important to me. And lately, I'm really back into books. And it started maybe, I don't know, a couple years ago. I found some folks on YouTube and watched them, but they were people who read contemporary books, like books that were just coming out, that were part of the current, you know, you'd find them on the sales table at your local bookseller. And then I started finding folks who read books that were just like, I don't know, they found them at a thrift store or they had them on their shelf already. Not necessarily books that were in the current zeitgeist. I've been using that word a lot in these videos, so I'm going to try to pull back on that. So I'm really enjoying those folks, and I mentioned them in my first video, and I still am not sure how to pronounce names and stuff, so I'll try to remember to put them down in the link. But that to say that it's given me a new sort of perspective on reading, and that I don't have to, we don't have to read the newest thing. We can read whatever the heck we want to read, including if we want to go back and read some childhood favorites, which I ended up doing. And I don't know if I mentioned that in my first video. I kind of think I didn't, and I'm really tempted to look behind me right now. Oh yeah, here it is, and mention this book in case I haven't mentioned it yet. I have all my books back here in my little thrift store bookshelves. This one, Mom, the Wolfman and Me by Norma Klein. I don't know, I was digging through a few titles on thrift books, and this one popped up. I'm not sure, maybe because I think it might have been the time I got a little bee in my bonnet about rereading some Judy Blume books. Of course, what girl on the planet, especially women my age, don't love Judy Blume? So this came up, and I had read this when I was of the age, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 12. Great book. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And if I've already talked about this, sorry, but if you like the movie The Goodbye Girl with Marsha Mason and Richard Dreyfuss, this has the same feel to it. Okay, so I'm saying that because it made me realize we can read books from childhood. We can read books, kid books, young adult books, and it's a totally valid option. So that's really opened up my reading, and I don't know, it just gave me a new perspective on it, and I've been really enjoying those folks, those booktubers. But then in the meantime, I have met these folks through initially having met them through Dodash, and now Dash of Faith has become a real lighthouse in all of this. And he has this idea, and I'm not sure if maybe Dodash initially came up with this idea. I think her idea was she was going to post new YouTube folks in her community tab, which I guess you don't get a community tab until you have 500 subscribers, and I think I have 4, so we're a little off from that. But then from that, he built, I think, this idea of the Hope Crew, and what's his other, the season of, I don't know, there's also something really positive, season of winning or something, I don't know, I'll have to go back and watch his videos again. So season of hope maybe. So I'm gonna tag on this Hope Crew thing if I can, if I could be so bold as to claim a little bit of that for myself. So then I saw another person's video, and I really should write all these names down, and she suggested Riva, R-I-V-A, and it's more than that, her title, but I bet if you just look up Riva, you'll find her. So Riva suggested that you go down in her comments and watch of the folks that had commented, watch some videos and see if you could find somebody new who you could at least watch their video all the way through and then like it, and then if you connected, to subscribe. So I found 2 or 3 new people that way, and then Dash of Faith suggested some people, so I found 1 new person that way, and I'm enjoying being, you know, one of the likes that they're getting and one of their new subscribers. It feels good to help out, and I think it's a beautiful idea. I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm a yoga teacher, and one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about being the hub of that wheel of folks that practice yoga with me is the sense of community that has built over the years. So I would love for that to happen here for my channel as well. So, things I've been reading. I started my morning read. I like a morning read and an evening read. The evening read I tend to right before I go to bed. That's when I read that, which is kind of a little bit of a trap because I'm often pretty tired by the time I get in bed, so then I don't read that much. So I'll get to my nighttime read in a second and mention how that's going. Anyway, this is the one I just started for the morning. I mean, is that like the greatest cover ever? And I'm not far in at all. Like I read the introduction in chapter 1, I think, so far, but I love autobiographies, and I'm finding this one already to be really enjoyable. I'll talk more about it as I get deeper into it. He's already talking about the dynamics of the family he grew up in and the people that were important to him. You know, it talks about his nan, and it's just, so far it's great. And of course, I, like millions, billions of other people, love Elton John. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's relatively good size. Let's look how many pages. Looks like it's going to be about 360, something like that. So that will be, 355. So that'll be an awesome read, and I hope I don't drag this out. Like, I tend to drag out my reading, but I've picked up speed now, and I'm a lot better at moving through books. That's just been in like the last 3 weeks. So I'm finding that books stay more interesting. Did I forget my other book? I did. The book I'm reading right now. I talked about it in my last video, so I'll hold it up next time. It's called Yoga, and I butcher the author's name. First name is Emmanuel, and he's French, so I'm probably already pronouncing that wrong. And then the last name, because I speak Spanish, I know I'm saying it with a Spanish accent. Carrere? I don't speak French, although I would love to. I believe it's Carrere. Great book, and I'm getting really close to being finished with it, and it is turning into the most interesting book. Because I took so long to read it, it has really, the first part of it seemed to drag, but that's just because I was being so pokey. And like, there were like a couple months where I didn't even read it. So I have been reading this book, I feel like I've been reading it since the late winter. I mean, honestly, I think I have. And then I've read a couple of other books in the interim, and then I picked this back up recently because I have a very bad habit of getting about half to maybe even 60% of the way through a book and then not finishing it. I mean, there's probably around this house, there's probably at least 15 books like that, which is ridiculous. So I'm very much hoping to finish the book Yoga, which he wanted to be a book about yoga, but then it's turned into a whole nother animal. And it's just the most human story with so many other human stories in it. I really can't wait to see how he wraps it up. I'm dying to dive into this book, but I've made a commitment to stick with just 2 books at a time. one, at least one, maybe two or three of the people that I follow in terms of reading BookTube, they read a lot of books at once. And that's good. It's good for me because it doesn't make me get anxious about making a decision about what book to read. But at the same time, it kind of spreads it a little too thin, and then I start to get really scattered about what I'm reading. So I've committed to 2 books. So right now I'm reading Yoga in the evening and the Elton John book in the morning. When I finish yoga, then I can pick up the next book. And the next book I'm going to pick up, which it just came in the mail for me, is The Message. And I believe I know how to say this author's name. I think it's Ta-Nehisi Coates. I would have pronounced it differently, again, based on my speaking ability to speak Spanish. But I heard people who I really don't think would mispronounce his name pronounce it Ta-Nehisi. So Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Message. If you haven't heard about this book, then I would encourage you to look it up for yourself. I saw him speak. I have heard of him before. I've watched just a couple of different things with him. I might even follow him on Instagram. I don't think so though. And but I watched him speak recently. A little bit of controversy behind, not a little bit. There's quite a bit of controversy behind this book, the content, the subject matter, and he had a rather I want to say contentious interview, but that's not right because he wasn't contentious at all. But it was a little bit of a it caused a little controversy, an interview he had. I think it was on CBS. That's what brought me to this book. So he originally set out to write a book about writing in the tradition of Orwell's classic Politics and the English Language, but found himself grappling with deeper questions about how our stories, our reporting, and imaginative narratives and myth-making expose and distort our realities. The first of the book's 3 main parts takes Coates on his inaugural trip to Africa, a journey to Dakar, where he finds himself in 2 places at once, a modern city in Senegal and a ghost-haunted country, and the ghost-haunted country of his imagination. He then takes readers along with him to Columbia, South Carolina, where he reports on the banning of his own work and the deep roots of a false and fiercely protected American mythology, visibly on display in this capital of the Confederacy, with statues of segregationists still looming over the public squares. Finally, Palestine. Coates sees the devastating clarity, the tragedy that grows in the clash between the stories we tell and the reality on the ground. Written at a dramatic moment in American and global life, this work from one of the country's most important writers is about the urgent need to untangle ourselves from our destructive myths that shape our world and our souls and embrace the liberating power of even the most difficult truths. I am so looking forward to reading this book, and it's not real long, so I'm looking forward to finishing it this year before the beginning of 2025. Good God. And I hope, actually, I'm going to make a list pretty soon here of, I want to finish at least 3 books, I think beyond this one. It might be getting a little lofty for me, but I'd really like to finish the year with a bang, because boy, did I start this year with a chug. I was not dedicated to my reading this year at all. And usually it's the opposite. Usually at the beginning of the year I'm really good, and then I drift off towards the end of the year. So anyway, after I finish yoga, I will start this. I'll keep going with that Elton John autobiography titled Me. And I am so looking forward to meeting more of you folks. Once I get just a little bit more traction, I hope to start putting out more calls to action. Right now, it feels a little silly because, I mean, honestly, I last checked, I had 4 followers. Although, one of my videos has almost 100 views, and that's the 1.5-minute long video of me introducing all of you to my little stray cat, Cheetah. That cracked me up. Like all my other videos have like 4, 3, 9 views, and then the one for Cheetah right now I think has 98, which is so cute and funny. So watch them all. If you are at all enticed by what I've offered so far, I would love it if you'd subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if you would like. And give me a comment. Let me know what you think so far. I am open to constructive criticism. Just please be kind. And I guess I'll see you guys for the next video. Thanks a lot. My name's Holly. I hope you'll come back. Bye for now.